to the Crypto Saving Expert News Show, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess. I have seen people discussing in the chat. Jordan is not joining us on today's stream, but he will be back with us very, very soon. Let's take a look at the prices now on the Crypto Saving Expert website, the best source of information in cryptocurrency. We can see Bitcoin is sat at $23,012 and we have Ethereum sat at $1,642. So we have seen a slight bounce overnight. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart and see what is happening. If we take a look over here on the 4-hour chart, you can see we bounced this level of support at $22,760 really nicely. We've bounced this line multiple times before. We've bounced it here. We've also seen us bounce it here and here. So this is the fifth bounce of this level of support, bouncing it with a pretty strong bounce here as well. So it's looking pretty positive in the markets right now. The markets seem to be split into two. We have a load of people that are getting very fearful as soon as we see a couple of red candles, because perhaps they've entered the market after this pump to the upside and they went dollar cost averaging in during the lows. And then we also have that team of people that think we can go higher. The markets seem very divided. As soon as we see that little bit of red movement, people are filled with fear. And whenever we see that bit of green movement, people are filled with FOMO. So I'm trying to stay level-headed when I take a look at the charts right now, trying to look at the data and really base my analysis off of that. Usually I like to go against the general sentiment within the markets, but we just seem like 50-50 divided right now. So the markets are in a very interesting place, but as long as we hold these supports, I'm continuing to be bullish. As I always say, I am bullish long term on Bitcoin, and I don't think that will ever change. But in today's stream, we are going to take a look at the latest cryptocurrency news and see what is happening in the market. Don't forget, if you haven't already, please like today's video and subscribe and press that bell notification button. And if you weren't here for yesterday's news, Crypto Saving Expert, the website, is finally live. So if you want to get the latest cryptocurrency news, guides, courses, or take a look at the market data, make sure to go over to cryptosavingexpert.com and press that sign up button there so you can get access to all of that completely for free. We've been working on this for so long. It's taken over a year to get this website live, but it is looking very nice. And I would say that it was completely worth it. So now let's take a look at the cryptocurrency news and see what is happening. First, we'll take a look at our Instagram page at Crypto Saving Expert. I can throw that onto the chat so you can see what we are looking at. We have, first of all, one of the world's largest payment processors, Visa, has started testing how to settle high-value transactions in USDC on the Ethereum network. So this is pretty big news and pretty exciting for us within the cryptocurrency industry. Adoption is something we want to see every single day. We also have, we've already seen this, Crypto Saving Expert is live. And we have The Balance, a luxury Swedish rehabilitation centre, has just added crypto trading addiction to its service list, with treatment costing upwards of $75,000 per client. Moving on quickly, we have FTX has sent confidential letters to the politicians demanding they return millions of dollars in donations given to them by the former CEO of the company, Sam Bankman-Fried, before the month runs out. And that is a news story that we are going to cover today over on the Crypto Saving Expert website. So let's pull this up now. If we go over to the news, you can see all of the latest cryptocurrency news, and within this we do have the FTX news in here somewhere. Let's take a look. Here it is. FTX seeks return of donations to politicians by SBF. Sorry, I just pressed play on my phone and it started playing some music by accident. Let's take a look at this article. We have the Bankrupt Crypto Exchange has started issuing confidential messages to its political beneficiaries seeking to recover the money donated by SBF and other FTX officers. All recipients were asked in the letter to return all donations by February 28th, according to the press release. And it states, to the extent such payments are not returned voluntarily, the FTX debtors reserve the right to commence actions before the bankruptcy court to require the return of such payments, with interest accruing from the date any action is commenced. I think this is slightly bizarre that they have been able to request this money back. That is not something that I would have expected to happen. If you've received a donation, I would believe that you could use that money however you like and you may not have the funds anymore, but clearly they can request this. Obviously, we are seeing that. Donating to charities does not count. When some beneficiaries have had conversations with the US Department of Justice about setting aside the money in light of the company's bankruptcy revelations, others planned on donating an equivalent to charities to clear the taint of FTX's contributions. However, FTX debtors said donating to charities will not prevent them from seeking recovery of the funds. And the release continued, recipients are cautioned that making a payment or donation to a third party, including a charity, in the amount of any payment received from an FTX contributor does not prevent the FTX debtors from seeking recovery from the recipient or any subsequent transferee. So pretty interesting news here about FTX trying to get those funds back so that they can help continue with the Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Obviously, FTX have filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy right now. And that is more of a restructuring type of thing where they're trying to work out what's best to do for their users. The new CEO has recently suggested that he may even relaunch the platform. And we've seen a big debate about this on the live chat in a couple of our streams. It's a very interesting concept because FTX as an exchange was perfectly functioning. The actual mechanics of it ran smoothly, and they have all the assets, they have all the infrastructure to be a perfectly good at cryptocurrency exchange, but the team running it were those that were malicious and causing issues. So now that team have been removed and we have this new CEO, why can that exchange not be used as a profitable exchange in the correct ways? That may be something that we may be looking at in the future. We probably will see a rebrand if that were to take place because people will just veer away from it automatically. But if the organisation behind it are transparent, potentially have a rebrand, and it's not Sam Bankman-Fried, there's no reason we can't use that already built infrastructure to make a perfectly good crypto saving exchange, in my opinion. Saving expert just rolls off the tongue every time I say crypto now. But before we forget, if you have not already, please make sure to like today's video and press subscribe and press that bell notification button. We are trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we are currently sat at, let me take a look, 2,416. That is growing incredibly quickly. We've gained 500 in just the last 4 weeks, so hopefully we continue to grow at this pace. We are doing these live streams every single weekday, keeping you up to date with the cryptocurrency news so that you don't miss it. And as I always say, if you are new to the space or you don't feel like you are staying up to date with the space, just listening to these live streams and listening to the news every single day and watching how the markets are reacting to that is the perfect way to stay involved in cryptocurrency and get knowledgeable with what I'd say minimal effort, because I'm doing all the hard work for you and just pouring my brains out about what I think about each of these news articles. So let's move on to the next article and see what is happening here. We have Uniswap to deploy on Layer 2 protocol Boba Network. So we've seen that this only needed 40 million votes to pass, but it actually got the support from over 51 million community members who voted in its favor. Now this is a scaling solution on the Ethereum network. Let's see where it says this. Let's take a look. This means Uniswap v3 will be deployed on Boba's scaling protocol on Ethereum, making it the 6th chain to support the DEX. And who is this? The co-founder and CEO of Enya Labs has said, while the Uniswap protocol will remain permissionless, developers will be able to build a compliant layer atop of it that leverages hybrid compute to tap existing traditional financial-friendly KYC AML services. As a result, Uniswap will become more accessible to a larger institutional market. So very interesting moves here from Uniswap. We're seeing companies build within the bear market, and that is exactly what we want to see. We also saw an article from Crypto.com a couple of weeks ago showing that we had seen adoption and the amount of users of cryptocurrency globally has grown over 2022, despite the bear market that we saw when we saw all of those crashes and we saw the markets dip by a huge mile. And we are still seeing adoption in the space. We're seeing companies build and prepare for that next bull market, which I anticipate will be in 2023, I'm expecting the markets to move in a slight upwards movement throughout the year, but huge amount of volatility within the year. And then 2024 and the first 9 months of 2025, I'm expecting to see those huge gains where we can basically just throw money at the wall and watch it double overnight. But that is the reason we are all in cryptocurrency, so hopefully that time does come around soon enough. But until then, we just need to learn as much as possible, accumulate as much as possible, and just sit tight and wait. Let's take a look at the next article. Here we have South Korea expands the definition of which tokens are considered securities. The regulatory mechanism for securing the words again. The regulatory mechanism for security token issuance and distribution in South Africa is to be improved. To line up with stock market law, they also seek to permit security token offerings. South Korea aims to establish two main goals with the new regulatory definition. First, avoid potential legal transgression and safeguard investors, and explain the guiding principles and practical applications for determining whether digital assets are securities. Second, organize institutional support and plan ahead of the direction of policy. To achieve the second goal, South Korea regulators have established three systems that must be improved to ensure the effective issuance and circulation of token securities. And these systems are, first of all, under the Electronic Securities Act, token securities must be issued in the form of securities. We also need to see token securities may be directly registered and managed by an institution established by the issuer. We have establishment of an over-the-counter trading brokerage firm for beneficiary certificates and investment contract securities. Within the framework of the Capital Market Systems Investor Protection Mechanism, token securities may be issued and distributed following three rules. First, to create a tiny over-the-counter market where unusual securities can be traded, easily issue and distribute different rights such as peace investments as securities, and use the same security system to safeguard investors. So we're trying to see the South Korean government regulate cryptocurrencies in a similar way as how they do the traditional stock markets. We see in the US we've had a huge battle with XRP and many other cryptocurrencies, whether cryptocurrencies fall into the category of a security or as a commodity. Now, some will fall into the category of a security and some will fall into the category of a commodity. Securities are much more regulated in the US and all over the world, really, so this is why this is up for huge debate. In the US, if a token is classified as a security, that means it needs to be regulated by the SEC, who are very strict with their regulations. Let's take a look at this. The discussion surrounding cryptocurrency regulation changed drastically after digital assets lost more than $2 trillion in value and a number of well-known businesses collapsed in 2022, most notably the Terra, Luna and the FTX exchange. The turbulence caused by crypto markets also raised the stakes, especially in the US, where a conflict between the SEC and the Commodities Future Trading Commission over who should lead in overseeing cryptocurrencies. So we are seeing more adoption since the collapses in 2022. We've covered this over and over again on the channel. Moving on to the next article, we have Genesis Global DCG reportedly reached an agreement with major creditors. So this is a big story for today. We have DCG, which is the parent company to Genesis Global. And then we have Gemini, which is the cryptocurrency exchange founded by the Winklevoss twins. And that Gemini platform had an earn section. You could deposit your funds into Gemini and then stake your tokens in the earn section and earn interest on your tokens. How did Gemini earn that interest? They were lending it to Genesis, which has parent company DCG. But Genesis has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So they have a huge amount of creditors they are now trying to pay back and reorganize themselves in a correct manner. So when the Genesis have filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, that does not mean we're not giving any of the money back. It means they're restructuring and trying to work out the best path forward, but they are short of liquid assets. So let's see this. According to a CoinDesk report citing people familiar with the matter, the agreement entails winding down the Genesis loan book as well as the sale of the bankrupt Genesis entities. The deal also involves refinancing outstanding loans, including the $500 million in cash and $100 million in Bitcoin that DCG owes Genesis. In addition, the infamous $1.1 billion 10-year promissory note that DCG gave Genesis as a means of absorbing the impact of the collapse of the crypto hedge fund 3 Arrows Capital will be equitized. However, the CoinDesk report did not give additional details about the process of equitizing the promissory note. Genesis was optimistic it would reach an agreement with its creditors. The creditors have reportedly been negotiating with the crypto lender on behalf of individuals and business entities owed approximately $2.4 billion by Genesis. They are currently represented by ProScorer and Kirkland law firms and restructuring banker Houlihan Lokey. So Genesis filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. We have already discussed this. But moving on to the next article, because we are continuing with this story across a couple of articles. In today's stream, we have DCG start selling its shares to Grayscale's trusts to pay Genesis's creditors. So as we've just heard, Genesis is looking to repay those creditors in the best way possible. And one of the strategies they've taken is to sell some shares to Grayscale. The parent company of Genesis Global, DCG, has begun selling several shares of its Grayscale Trust to raise funds to pay back its lending arm owes creditors. According to a Financial Times report, DCG is selling the shares as a steep discount to plug the financial hole at Genesis Global while at the same time preserving its Grayscale arm, which generates good revenue for the firm through management fees. So DCG sold shares in Grayscale's Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash and ETC trusts. Grayscale is a company that is trying to get cryptocurrency ETFs. So it's trading at a very discounted price compared to the amount of backing it has per share. And therefore, this is a pretty sad decision to be made. It's like selling Bitcoin at $16,000 even though you know we're going to see another bull market. But if we have seen some concerns with Grayscale recently anyway, that they may not be able to achieve that ETF status by the SEC because they are making it very, very difficult to do so. But DCG selling at a loss might not be a bad thing we can see here. DCG could have opted to dissolve some of the trusts, allowing investors to redeem the underlying assets and helping to close the discount relative to the net asset value. This move could have allowed DCG to sell the underlying assets at the market rate, but doing so would mean Grayscale would no longer earn management fees from the trusts. For example, Grayscale make a 2% management fee for holders of its Bitcoin trust. So DCG faces a trade-off. They could allow redemption and enable liquidity as per value, including for their own holdings, but they're better off not doing it because they make so much money from the management fee. Closing the discount would mean giving up this cash cow. So interesting things over there. We have one last article on the matter, and this is Gemini reaches in principle agreement with Genesis Global over earn programs. This is what we were talking about earlier in today's stream. Gemini were lending a huge amount of user funds to Genesis, which has parent company DCG, and we've seen a lot of open debate over on Twitter where they've been sending open letters to each other discussing how ridiculous this has been and how difficult they have been trying to work. It has been when they've been trying to work together. Specifically, Cameron Winklevoss has had a lot to say on the matter. He has not been happy with how Gemini have dealt with this, or the CEO of DCG, but now we're seeing it looks like they've come to a solution. And Cameron Winklevoss has tweeted, "Today, Gemini reached an agreement in principle with Genesis Global Capital, DCG Co. and other creditors on a plan that provides a path for end users to recover their assets. This agreement was announced in bankruptcy court today." So we are seeing some solutions over there. I would like to say these solutions have come very, very quickly. Moving on to the next article now, we have UK regulators to take action against crypto firms breaching ad requirements. Plans for the upcoming regulatory regime were announced last week alongside the release of a consultation paper to guide its approach to regulating cryptocurrencies. We reported that part of the paper proposed that advertising rules include instructions to stop financial service providers from marketing certain stablecoins as stable to avoid misleading investors. The government has, I think when we were looking at this last week, we were looking at them specifically targeting algorithmic stablecoins. They were saying if a coin was an algorithmic stablecoin, you couldn't label it as a stablecoin when trying to market them. But that just makes educating people so much more difficult, I think. The government has now decided to introduce rules that would precede the new regulatory regime, specifically promoting and marketing crypto assets in general. The FCA requires that crypto firms be registered with the FCA under the money laundering, terrorist financing and transfer of funds regulations before they can release their crypto advertisements. So we're seeing the UK trying to regulate cryptocurrencies in the best way possible. We've also seen them previously say they want to become the cryptocurrency hotspot of the world. They are taking steps towards trying to understand cryptocurrency a little bit better. We are seeing a bit more frequent news about the UK and how they are going to regulate cryptocurrency. Whether that it's always in the best way or not is up for debate, but we are seeing them make moves on the industry. So it's not just being completely ignored like some jurisdictions are taking that approach. Before we continue with today's stream, please make sure to press like and subscribe and press the bell notification button so that you don't miss these daily live streams. We do them every single weekday so you can stay up to date with the latest cryptocurrency news. And if you want to hear more from crypto saving experts, the website is finally live. So if you go over to cryptosavingexpert.com and you press this big blue sign up button here, you can get access, absolutely free access to the news, the guides, the courses, and the market data. Now, these courses are incredible. The team has been making this website for over a year. The news is reliable news that you can trust. And we have some very interesting guides over there as well if you're looking to take a look at some different exchanges, both centralized and decentralized. If you want to take a look at the wallets, how to tax your cryptocurrencies in the UK. We've got crypto cards comparisons. We've got stay safe and how to stay safe online. We've also got the different networks you can use, and we can take a look at the metaverse. And you can take a read of a description. If you heard a word in cryptocurrency that you don't understand, just head over to our encyclopedia and you get a short description of what that word means. You also get a video of me explaining what that word means. And also, if you want a more in-depth definition, you can just press here and we have a whole article on that word and what it means and how it can be used. So we have a honestly, this took so long to make, but I really think this is a brilliant way to educate people about cryptocurrency. As we were saying in yesterday's live stream, so many people veer away from cryptocurrency because it just seems so complicated and something too difficult to understand. But we're trying to make that step into cryptocurrency as easy as possible so we can bring more and more people into this space. So if you haven't already, please make sure to like today's stream, share the stream with a friend, and press sign up on cryptosavingexpert.com. Moving on to the next piece of news today, though, we have, where are we looking? Central Bank of Laos commences digital currency pilot. So the BOL intends to use a modified version of the system used for Bekong to develop its digital currency. Under the pilot program, a temporary commercial bank will be charged with distributing the digital currencies to residents for purchases at stores, after which the store will return the tokens for commercial banks and then the central bank. The result in the POC will influence and be a prerequisite to any consideration by the Bank of Laos for the official launch of a CBDC system in Laos PDR. So we are going to see, it seems, in the next couple of years, a lot of central bank digital currencies being implemented in many different jurisdictions. We've seen the UK say earlier this week they're expecting to have one by the year of 2030, and we're going to see a roadmap, I believe, this week of how that is going to be implemented, and we're now seeing in Laos as well. We are going to see this in many different countries. How this is adopted will be very interesting, as Jordan has mentioned on a previous live stream. For the general public to use a central bank digital currency, the governments need to teach people on how to use cryptocurrency and the benefits of using cryptocurrency, because we have seen already central bank digital currencies being used in some countries and it just hasn't been adopted by the masses. So for the governments to get the residents of their country to adopt the central bank digital currency in a large scale, they need to educate people on the benefits of using a CBDC. They need to educate people on how to use a CBDC, and in turn, they're teaching people about cryptocurrency. So even though we are seeing CBDCs and some people are a little bit worried about this, it could massively push adoption of cryptocurrency. So that is what I am looking at. Now let's take a quick look back at Bitcoin and see what is happening over here on the 4-hour chart. We have this level of support at $22,770. We have bounced that pretty nicely overnight. If we take a look at the RSI, it is looking slightly oversold, more neutral on the RSI on the 4-hour chart. And we can see that the MACD looks like it's about to tick into bullish momentum on the 4-hour chart. So the Bitcoin chart isn't looking too daunting for me right now. It's looking pretty exciting. I personally, obviously nothing is financial advice, accumulated some altcoins down at these levels yesterday, and that is already starting to pay off. So it's a brilliant time to be in cryptocurrency. 2023 has treated us very nicely so far, and hopefully that continues throughout the year. But that is all we have for today's stream. Thank you very much for watching the latest cryptocurrency news show. We do these every single day, so if you are new here, please make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one and stay up to date with everything crypto. That is all for today though, and I will see you tomorrow.